Can I ask you a question? Where are you watching this video? At your house, with a fast broadband connection and in high definition? With your cell phone and some public transportation, with what is left of your data before reaching the cab? It is precisely the place you're at, where you stand, that we want to talk about. What we mean is who you are, your gender, your race, how you earn your living, the language that you speak, where you live. We are talking about the differences between you and everybody else. By looking at this position of yours, it is possible to notice how you relate to everything surrounding you. And all of these relations between us and the others that are around us bear many inequalities. They are a part of how you are perceived, of how you are treated, of how you yourself treat others, your access to information, your living and working conditions. These differences and inequalities influence the voice you may have to change something where you live or work, and also your chances of being heard, not only as an individual, but as a part of different group, community, and culture. We are talking about the position you occupy in this world. Now that you know where you stand, we would like to ask you a question that's very important for us. How conviviality, inequalities, and differences constitute one another in Latin America and the Caribbean. Many situations could exemplify this, yet we choose to look at a scenario that's very well known among Latin American and Caribbean families, which is the domestic labor done by women.
Val? Sim. Pode tirar, por favor. Licença. Obrigada.
Taking care of the house and of the people that live in it has long become a chore exclusively laid on women. Besides housewives, in many Latin American countries, this sort of work is also done by paid domestic employees who, for the most part, are women of low income and poor education. Often, they are of African or indigenous ancestry. From the start, a wide range of inequalities between these women and the people they work for become tangible, thus establishing the position they will occupy and the way they'll interact.
Maria, onde é que já se viu filha de empregada sentar na mesa dos patrões?
There's an important element in how this relationship between people in such different positions develops itself. Domestic labor involves care and, in contexts such as those found in some Latin American countries, affection is an important part of it.
Oh, é você.
Não tô conseguindo dormir, Val.
Ah, não sabia, eu tô cansada.
Tá, mas vou dormir aqui, tá?
É, mas vamos ficar de conversa não, que amanhã eu levanto cedo. Fabinho.
Anthropologist Nicholas Vassa helps us understand this a little bit better. Through affection, the worker shapes herself to the many roles she'll have to play. She doesn't simply wash, clean, and cook, but also cures, comforts, and listens. Many times, daily work is pervaded by traces of friendship and informality during the comings and goings of the house. In many homes, the worker even becomes a maternal figure.
Jéssica tá querendo vir para São Paulo para ficar comigo.
Mentira! Que bom.
These elements provide the worker with a distinct position in the house, and nothing can express this better than the popular phrase, "She's almost family."
Mas é que eu queria ver com a senhora, se assim no comecinho, só no comecinho. Ela não podia ficar aqui com a gente até eu arrumar um lugar. Assim,
Mulher, claro que pode. Imagina, meu amor, você é praticamente da família.
But when we talk about care and affection, this does not mean that inequalities and differences are erased or that there is a balanced relationship inside. Actually, care and affection spring up amid these inequalities and differences. We cannot forget that these interactions occur in a context of power and that, even when affection and intimacy seem to shake the hierarchy that separate these people, it actually persists. So we notice that these inequalities and differences are at the base of how such a relationship of coexistence is built, developed, and renegotiated. However, despite these differences, would it be possible for the paid workers and housewives to come together and act towards the appreciation of domestic labor? What we mean is, could the coexistence between these groups be negotiated? In one of her articles, researcher Raquel Rojas has analyzed this exact question by observing the relations between domestic workers and housewives associations in Uruguay and Paraguay. In Uruguay, these groups were able to cooperate. Despite their differences, they were able to unite around the common cause of having domestic labor appreciated, so as to finally get recognition for it as formal labor. Since 2008, this unification has resulted in concrete achievements, such as wage increase and labor rights, like paid leave for the workers, or the right to retirement pensions for the housewives. But in Paraguay, the role of the differences between them and the inequalities they express had the final say, and such an alliance did not occur. The Paraguayan Housewives Association even opposed itself in 2015 to a law that proposed a wage increase for domestic workers. In the wealthier, more educated and urban families, Spanish is the most commonly spoken language. In the poor, least educated and rural ones, it's Guarani. Language and birthplace are relevant indicators of their differences in this country. As Raquel Rojas reveals, the Paraguayan housewives have considered these differences as reasons for maintaining the distance between both social groups. The domestic workers are deemed as part of a very different universe from that of housewives and are considered by them as less qualified people with another culture and work ethic. In this case, their differences were used as a way to reaffirm and reproduce inequalities. The devaluing of domestic labor keeps Paraguayan housewives at the top of the social hierarchy. The way in which individuals and groups deal with, negotiate, and reaffirm differences and inequalities has everything to do with the manner in which relationships and coexistence are built. This can be perceived in the relationship between the employer and the domestic worker at home by asking ourselves why those specific people occupy those specific roles and how those roles influence their relationship.
Vó, pode não parecer, mas essa casa ainda é minha. Vem aqui. Quero falar com você.
This is why conviviality and inequality walk side by side. They are notions that complement each other and help us observe situations such as: what sort of relationship do people that live in neighboring but very unequal regions of a same city have? How are the daily operations of large city centers organized? And how do they affect formal and informal workers? How did the colonizers classify America's native populations, and in what way did and does this impact their lives? How do different ways of thinking about our relationship with nature and our potential of changing it mirror and reproduce inequalities? In which ways do museums and libraries build and organize their collections? In which ways are artistic and cultural productions affected by and are also mediums of the signs of differences and inequalities? We can observe uncountable contexts, scenarios, and relationships. We, at Messila, desire that all the different voices and perspectives may stand on this viewpoint in order to observe and speak about Latin America and the Caribbean. Only diverse knowledge will be able to account for the many ways in which inequalities, differences and coexistence constitute one another. You can find out more about us through our social media or website. Thank you for watching this video.